Perfection is a word that's thrown about a fair bit. It can be used to describe a dessert, a painted wall, an outfit, a date, or a situation, basically anything. For Henry Royce, it was a way of life. He'd be proud then of what the company bearing his name has become today, especially with the Rolls-Royce Phantom Drophead Coupe. The Phantom is the flagship range for Rolls-Royce. Now, the big Phantom, the one with all the doors, well, that's the car you're taken to important meetings in with special people in amazing places. You can use it as a mobile battle station and make very scary choices from its back seat. The Drophead, though, well, you're not driven in the Drophead. You do the driving. There's an important difference between the two because the regular Phantom is there to cosset you, where the Drophead exists to whisk you along in comfort and luxury, but also to allow you to experience the world in stereo, roof up or down. You see the world, and if the roof's down, the world sees you. They can't really miss you in a Phantom because it has size and presence by the exquisitely upholstered bucket load. Henry Royce, as I mentioned earlier, was a perfectionist. He was the youngest of 5 kids and his father died before he was 10 years old. To keep his family going, he got a job delivering newspapers and telegrams. He'd only had 1 year of formal education. After a spell working for the Great Northern Railway Company and at a toolmaking company in Leeds, he went to the Electric Light and Power Company, moving to its Liverpool office in 1882. A couple of years later, he, along with chum Ernest Claremont, started a light fittings business in Manchester. Soon, F.H. Royce and Company started making dynamos and electric cranes. In 1899, the firm was renamed Royce Limited and publicly floated. After the Second Boer War, business was slowing, so Royce had a look at the motor industry to see if he could give his company a bit of a boost. In 1901, he bought a de Dion, but he found it wanting. He modified it, but in 1904 he started building his own car. He ended up making 3. One went to Claremont, and another went to Henry Edmonds, a director of Royce Limited. Edmonds had a friend he thought Royce should meet. He went by the name of Charles Rolls. He was a car importer. And the rest, as the cliché goes, is history. By 1907, the company was winning awards and recognition for its engineering prowess, in no small part down to Royce's perfectionism. He wanted his work to be flawless, saying, "Strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it." And that's something Rolls-Royce still lives by today. For example, there are 14 test engineers who look after 8 intensive test vehicles all year round to make sure they remain reliable and, well, perfect. Then, when Rolls was developing its 6.6 litre V12, before it reached production, it had to faultlessly revolve 750 million times before it was given the go-ahead. You know the spirit of ecstasy, the mechanism that makes that disappear from view so no one nicks it, well, that has 24 linkages and bearings in it to ensure it works perfectly and flawlessly every time. And that's just some of the stuff. This Phantom Drophead Coupe was, like every other Rolls, hand-built in the state-of-the-art Rolls-Royce factory in the south of England, painted, polished and loved by the craftspeople responsible for putting it together. It's inspired by the J-class racing yachts of the 30s, hence the teak decking in the back. It's powered by a 6.75 litre V12 and makes a stately 453 brake horsepower and 531 pound-foot. 0 to 62 happens in 5.8 seconds and its top speed is 150 miles an hour. It's not a speed machine, though it's certainly not slow. How does one go in a drophead roller anyway? It goes very well indeed. Now, here's the what it's like to drive bit. The steering is so very, very light. It's just, you just push it and it feels like it shouldn't be doing anything, but it is. And it's got this great ability of swathes and swathes of lock, and it actually makes the car really manoeuvrable. It also makes it very light and easy to drive in town. The throttle response is a little slow, but then you remember it has to move 2.6 tons, so you can kind of forgive it for that. Once it gets going, this thing shifts. The brakes are again fantastic, but when you put your foot down on them, there's great progression, but you do feel the car having to deal with its weight. Its gearbox is sublime. You really can't tell when it's changing gear, and I like that. It's just one smooth, linear, beautiful experience. Anyway, that's the kind of nitty-gritty of driving, but that's not what it's like to drive. What this car is like to drive is unlike anything. And this is not the whole supercar vernacular of, oh my god, it's the fastest thing I've ever driven, oh, it's going to tear my face off, and it's not that kind of car. You get in the car, you don't close the door by yourself, you press the door button and it does it for you. The Phantom Drophead allows you to experience the world around you, but from the lap of utmost intoxicating luxury. The environment I'm in is simply stunning. We have actual wood right here that's very tactile, it feels beautiful. The leather, this beautiful thin rim with little grips at 20-4 because a Rolls driver doesn't drive at 10-2. The centre console, if you don't want to have a look at the sat-nav screen, you can hide it with a touch of a button. It reveals a beautiful clock that tells the time, I imagine, with pinpoint accuracy, and if it didn't, someone down at the factory might just be hung. The seats are so cosseting, and it's like having a hug from a cow that was happy to sacrifice its hide to make sure that you have a lovely time. Everything in here has been so beautifully thought of. It's a stunning thing to experience, it really is. People look at you in the Phantom, they ask for a lift, they ask for a ride, and they're kind of enchanted by it because it's quite rare to see one of these, especially a convertible one with the roof down at night in some of the bits of town we've been in. People love it. They don't judge you, they don't shout, they don't swear at you, they appreciate it. This is a truly magical drive. It doesn't involve a roaring engine, it doesn't involve 1,000 brake horsepower. What it does involve is exquisite engineering, attention to detail like no other, and a car like no other. Whether Wraith was the kind of car Charles Rolls would drive, I think the Phantom Drophead is more Royce's jam. It's quiet, composed, fast, and just right for a person who wants somewhere comfortable to think about how to make something already perfect, even more so. Had Rolls and Royce never met, there would be no Phantom Drophead or otherwise. Rolls may have continued to have sold and imported cars and had other business interests, and of course been the daredevil that he was. Royce may have made more cars, but would they have had the staying power that the Rolls-Royce ones did? I don't know, but I'm glad the two met, and I'm very glad that Henry was such a stickler for detail, because sometimes it pays to sweat the small stuff.